Hello and welcome back to another Ascension Teachings. This is Anne Marie Morales. So this would be Volume 3 of Ascension Teachings. If you haven't listened to Volume 1 or 2 yet, I suggest you start there. Today we're going to talk about duality. This is the realm that we are in. We have chosen, or through our karmic need, left spirit and incarnated into this density called duality, this third density reality. In other realities, duality is represented by things like male and female. In this realm, duality is represented by the power struggle that we found ourselves in. You could call it good and evil. You could call it love or fear. But we are here in a dualistic realm. Now, the dualism is everywhere. So we have yes, no, up, down, left, right, old, young, black, white. That is the nature of duality. And in duality, we achieve or we experience contrast. So contrast is the tool off of which we learn. For example, if you've never eaten chocolate cake, your whole life, you've never eaten chocolate cake. And then you finally taste chocolate cake. And it's the most amazing thing that you've ever tasted. You will appreciate eating that chocolate cake because you've never had it before. That is a very mild example of the lesson of duality. We, however, if we're not aware of what this gift of duality is, can run into victimhood. So we could say, this chocolate cake was the most amazing chocolate cake I've ever had. It's the most wonderful substance ever. And it's my parents' fault that I never got to eat chocolate cake before. They're awful. They denied me chocolate cake. So we can go into all sorts of directions when it comes to this dualistic realm. Now, there's something I like to call a truism. So I can take out chocolate cake and then substitute sex. And I can take out chocolate cake and I could substitute peace. I can take out peace and substitute sorrow. So duality and the contrast provided by this realm is allowing us to know what we like, to know what we don't like, to know what feels good, to know what doesn't feel good. Now, we are in such a now moment that we forget so much. And we're in this now moment, not because we're dwelling, I shouldn't say now moment. We are constantly distracted. That's a better way of saying it. We are so distracted that we don't remember the feelings that we've had. Not only that, but we're so distracted and programmed into not believing the true gut feelings that we get. Now, according to A Course in Miracles, there's only one problem, and that is separation. And the only way to remedy any problem is to return to unity, is to come back to oneness, is to confirm within your being that you are made of love by God and that you are one with God. And so there is this concept of non-dualism, okay? And well, Anne-Marie, we're in dualism. What do you mean there's a concept of non-dualism? Non-dualism merely means that we understand that there are only two directions in which to flow to. We can either go towards love or go towards fear. Because the opposite of love is not hatred. Believe it or not, the umbrella emotion is fear. So when you live a non-dualistic existence, you are keenly aware of why you make the decisions you make. Do you make a decision because you are in a love mode or out of a love, either a love of self or a love of others? Or do you make a decision of recoil because of fear, because of caution? Now, just yesterday, actually, I made a comment on my social media about how I think AI is our downfall. And then some people were like, well, it's like your reality and it's how you make your reality. No, very true. AI is something that is in our reality. It is something that is meant to be a tool. But not everyone is looking at it with that intention. So my comment was, knowing how AI has been rolled out and knowing that the controllers of our society want every opportunity to have us give our power away, we have now students that don't learn. We have students that merely run something through ChatGPT or go look it up on the internet and use the cliff notes being summed up by algorithms. So we have lost and we are giving away our creative nature. If I'm in awareness of that, am I resisting it? Not necessarily. I'm not resisting it. I'm choosing what to use and what not to use. I transcribe on my voice app all the time. Well, that's artificial intelligent technology, voice recognition technology. That's a way to use AI. I make up photographs or pictures, from the various AI photo generation apps. Okay. But I'm a working artist. I'm an artist, and I've got to be careful with that. The other thing I want to point out here is, and it's probably my Catholic nature, that I just like to confess. All these amazing, so my social media post was, I think AI is our downfall, but I really love those little baby videos. So now they're taking clips from movies and my cousin Vinny and using these baby apps. And I just think it's adorable. But what am I doing? Where am I releasing my sovereignty? Well, I am willfully giving my time, my desire for distraction. And we all need distraction. This is a heavy place. But are we disciplined enough, right? Are we disciplined enough to resist it? I'm working on that. I'm working on that really well. So anyway, my point is, if I can recall what my point is about this, my point is that we have the choice, and we learn through the nature of duality. Okay. And another thing about A Course in Miracles is that we have the God mind and then we have the ego mind. And I got a download the other day about the ego mind, that the ego mind is tied to duality, which makes sense because I see it as the part of my mind that likes to fight, that gets offended, that, that's the engaging in the salacious kind of thing, that watches Judge Judy. That's my ego mind that wants to feel right. Okay. So the ego mind is attached. It's a part of our minds because it is attached to our bodies. It is actually coming from our brains, and it is where the mind and the brain kind of interweave and cohabitate together. And it's the part of our minds attached to the reptilian brain, okay? And that is the part of our minds that is responsible for our fight, our flight, and our freeze responses. So that's another layer upon what the mind is versus consciousness. And the ego mind is, according to A Course in Miracles, there's nothing good about the ego mind. I'm not going to go that far. I am going to say it's important to identify which part of your mind is responding at any given moment. And this is where the contrast comes in, and this is where the discernment comes in. And this is where you can learn to observe and observe your thoughts, to form a thought. So we don't form thoughts anymore. We vomit thoughts. If you look at conflict out there, there's very little pause, observation of our minds, and then formulating a response. It hardly ever exists. It's a discipline. And boy, oh boy, we are undisciplined. And I mean, I heard from somebody that has been following me and said, Anne-Marie, most of us know all of this stuff. And I get that. I know that we all know this stuff. And she wanted to know if I would channel at the end. Well, no, I'm not going to channel at the end, not of this. But I am going to do a monthly discussion group about the Ascension teachings, and I'm going to make it the last Sunday of the month at 4 p.m. And I will be putting out advertising for that date in the very near future, as we are ending the end of the month already. If not this weekend, then definitely the following weekend. So here we are. We're in duality. Yay! We're in duality. Right and wrong, judgment galore. But this is the realm we chose to incarnate into. This is where we're going to learn the lessons that we need to learn more. What would be the word? With more certainty, contrast, with more contrast than anywhere else in the contrast is the perfect word. So duality provides us contrast, and that's why we are here. According to A Course in Miracles, we have choices. to either move towards love or away from love. And that is dwelling in unity consciousness. That is understanding that there is no separation, even though seemingly we are separate. We are in a dream. This existence, although very tangible and very real, is a blip in the blink of an eye of who we truly are. And one of my other lessons in Ascension teachings is going to be, who are we? You know, like, well, no, I already talked about who are we, but a little bit more in depth and details of what I have come to understand of what compromises us. So look forward to that already. I already did Who Am I? That was number 1. So what I'm talking more about is what else makes us up? What other realms can we interact with and touch on? So here we are. This is my 3rd installment of Ascension teachings. My name is Anne Marie Morales, and yes, duality. This is where we are. Duality provides us contrast. What we need to remember is what we like versus what we don't like, and make the choices to experience what we do like. And of course, remain in a spiritual service to others focus, because we can run amok with just doing things that we like. All right, my friends, I hope this makes sense. I love you, and I offer myself at your service. Again, like, subscribe, and share. And go check out my website, ammhypnotherapy.com. I provide my own modality called a Starseed Special, and it takes you to a realm where you learn about your own starseed aspects, parts of your soul, which is what I was just talking about, that are not of this realm. Okay, I love you all. Thank you. Bye.